Hey guys, I'm Jonas. Today we're going to be checking out this Yamaha Drive2, so stick around. So this is a 2020 Yamaha Drive2 fuel-injected QuieTech PTV. So in 2017 is when Yamaha released the Drive2. It was, as a fleet car, it was available in carbureted or a fuel-injected QuieTech version. So the QuieTech basically means that Yamaha added extra sound deadening and different mufflers and a skid plate to the engine bay to try to get the engine quieter so that it was more competitive noise-wise with an electric cart. So this QuieTech is actually rated at 1 decibel louder than E-Z-GO's RXV electric cart. So that's an electric cart compared to a gas cart that's only 1 decibel louder. So these are extremely quiet carts. Another feature of the Drive2 was the new body. They came out with a completely redesigned body. This is called a 5-piece body. So basically, your front cowl is 1 piece, and then the rear body is made up of 4 separate pieces. The really nice thing about that is when you want to swap bodies on these carts, you do not have to remove the top supports. Basically, this body just unsnaps and rips off of there. You can take a body off of these in 15 minutes. So some of the main differences on the fleet carts between the carbureted and the fuel-injected QuieTech version is it's the exact same engine, just it either has a carburetor on it or it has fuel injection. So their horsepower ratings and stuff, performance-wise, you're really not going to notice much difference other than the fuel-injected carts start easier. There's no choke to them. You just hit the pedal, they fire up and go. The carbureted carts do start pretty well. I never really had an issue with those, but the fuel-injected is just going to start easier, quicker, and then be noticeably quieter. The fuel injection is also going to handle today's gas better. It seems like as time goes on, the quality of the fuel that we're getting today just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And this ethanol fuel has issues absorbing water, so you get moisture in these fuel systems, and the carbureted carts just can't handle that, where the fuel-injected carts can. They're more like a fuel-injected car. So if the gas is good enough for your car to burn, then these should be able to burn it just fine too, where on a carbureted engine, that water will separate and sit in the bottom of the bowl in the carburetor, and then as that water accumulates and builds up over time, then you start running into engine running problems. Another difference between a fuel-injected cart and a carbureted cart on these engines, the carbureted carts are rated for about 35 miles per gallon, where the fuel-injected carts are rated at about 45 miles per gallon. Both carts do come with a 6-gallon fuel tank, so getting 10 more miles per gallon, that's going to put you around 60 more miles per tank of fuel. So another difference with the carbureted carts is they have a solid rear axle. So basically it's more of a swing arm type setup with a solid axle. On the fuel-injected QuieTechs, they went to an independent rear suspension, which is the first golf cart in the industry to ever have independent rear suspension. So basically it has a single A-arm style setup, almost a strut style setup like what the front has, but on the back as well, and 2 CV shafts driving each wheel instead of that solid rear axle. And then they put a skid plate that basically goes underneath of that whole cradle to seal up that whole area underneath the engine, and that's part of the QuieTech setup to help keep the engine noise in that engine bay. So Yamaha was the first manufacturer to have independent front and rear suspension on a golf cart. There's no other manufacturer out there that I know of that is even close to being ready to put independent rear suspension on a cart. There's even some manufacturers out there that are still running a solid front axle. They don't even have independent front suspension. So as I mentioned, this is a PTV model. What that stands for is a personal transport vehicle. So a PTV, you're typically only going to find brand new on the showroom. They don't sell PTV carts to golf courses. They sell fleet carts to courses that are a little bit more base model than what the PTV is. So really, you're only going to be able to get your hands on a PTV by going to a dealer. Now the advantages to getting the PTV model is it comes from the factory with headlights and tail lights. It comes with a horn. It's got a fuel gauge with an hour meter in it, as well as it comes with a rear view mirror. It also comes with 20-inch tall tires on 10-inch wheels from the factory. They just came out with a 12-inch wheel option too, but for the most part you're going to see them with a 10-inch wheel. Going with that taller tire, and then they turn up the governors on them just a little bit. So from the factory, these PTV carts are rated at 19 miles per hour, where your standard fleet carts are typically only going to be around that 14 mile an hour range, which is where most golf courses want them set, so that people aren't too fast around the golf course. So you can take a fleet cart and put a 20-inch tall tire on it and turn up the governor and be able to get right up around that 19 to 20 miles an hour pretty easily. I've even seen these carts with a 20-inch tall tire get up, around that 22 to 24 mile an hour range. So all the Drive2s, whether it's a fleet cart or a PTV, do come with dual USB charging ports under the dash, which is super nice. And then they redesigned the whole dash on it, the console area, to put even bigger, cup holders and a rangefinder, cell phone holders, your ball holders. They really have one of the nicest console setups, I think, in the industry. So one of the big advantages that Yamaha has over all the other kart manufacturers out there is Yamaha builds their own kart themselves. And what I mean by that is they build their own frames, they build their own engines, their bodies, their seats, their tops, everything they make themselves and put together in their factories. Other manufacturers like E-Z-GO and Club Car, they may build their own frame, but they have to have somebody else build their engine, they have somebody else make their bodies, they have somebody else make their seats. So they're outsourcing all of these parts, and then they just get shipped to their factory, and then they have to assemble it. So by being able to make their own product, Yamaha can just make things work better. They can make an engine that's designed to fit in this frame. Yamaha is a power sports company. They make engines. That's what they do. And they put a lot of R&D time into these gas-powered carts. This gas power is their market. They have an electric cart, they've got a 48 volt, but that's not really their big thing. Their big thing is gas carts. E-Z-GO does make a very nice electric cart. Club Car makes a decent one. So Yamaha's not really pushing for that market. They're pushing for the gas car market. And in my opinion, right now, they're killing the market. There's really no other manufacturer out there that is anywhere close to where Yamaha is at on these carts, with the engine setup, the clutching, the independent suspension. Nobody else is even close to what Yamaha is doing right now. So these new Drive2s come with a 11.6 horsepower engine that's built by Yamaha that has been around for years. They've been using this exact same engine through all the Drive1s and now into the Drive2s, so it's a very well built engine that's lasted a long time. They've had very few problems with it. So a really good bulletproof engine that they just added fuel injection to. They didn't change anything else about the engine other than the fuel injection and then the muffler to get the QuieTech. So a couple of the disadvantages about this QuieTech is, one of the big things is when you go to change oil on them. So they have a full skid plate that covers the whole bottom of the engine, and there is no hole in it to pull your oil drain plug. If you want to drain your oil out the bottom of the engine, you have to unbolt and remove the skid plate, which is not a very easy task, especially if you're doing it on the ground. So doing an oil change on these, what I've found works better is to use a vacuum pump. So we just have a cheap vacuum pump. I think it was like 80 bucks. We got it at O'Reilly's. So you actually stick that vacuum pump down the dipstick tube and then pump it, and it sucks the oil out of the dipstick tube. And these hold 1 quart of, we run a 10W30 engine oil in them, so you dump 1 quart of oil in there, you double check it, and you're done. So another issue that we've had with this Drive2, when we were installing the rear seat kit, you have to remove the bolts that hold the rear engine cradle up to the frame. So basically you're going to pull the 2 bolts out of the bottom, and then where the seat brackets bolt down on the top, you have to drill through the frame and through the holes that are there for the cradle mounting, which is kind of a pain. You really got to do some measuring, double checking, and drill, hope that you're lined up right. Another big thing with these Drive2s is if you're thinking about doing a lift kit, having the independent rear suspension and the way that whole engine cradle is set up, to do a lift kit on these is not easy, and it's very expensive compared to what the Drive1s were. It's somewhere around twice as expensive to lift a Drive2 than it was to lift a Drive1. And when you add that lift kit to it, you're losing your skid plate and you're dropping the engine down, so you're losing your sound deadeners on the side of the engine. So basically you're losing half of your QuieTech on this QuieTech cart. All that sound deadening that you're removing or losing to do that lift kit. So you might as well not even have a QuieTech if that's what you're going to do to it. The warranty that comes with these when you're buying them brand new off the showroom, you get a 4-year bumper-to-bumper warranty, which is awesome. Gives you that peace of mind, you know, that you've got a company that's going to stand behind their cart. So we do have a couple of fleet Drive2 QuieTechs that are going to be coming in this winter that we'll be doing some upgrades to: tires and wheels, rear seat kits, body swap, lights. So if you guys want to see those, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you'll catch those notifications when that comes out. If you guys got some good value out of this video, please hit the like button. That really helps our channel out a lot. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.